this one, no, everybody wants to know how to make pitch decks, what to do.
Yes.
So I thought, yeah, it's like a subject like everybody wants to know.
Exactly.
That's why I picked up this, because anybody who wants to even try to do it on their own, they can actually do it.
And regarding to the pitch deck, regarding to the fundraising, most of the students, because the participants, most of the people in the students community, they have an n number of myths around. Like, what is pitch deck? Most of the people are not aware about the pitch deck. What should be included into the pitch deck? Whether the fundraising is itself the necessary thing, because what they think, if they want to launch a startup without fundraising, they can't even start. Now, category of the fundraising, bootstrap, and then there are categories of Series A, Series B. So I think these are some of the very technical terms which are not taught into the traditional colleges and MB colleges, but which are very essential if you want to launch a startup. So and most of the time students are very scared how they can approach to the investors or a VC firm. They're very scared if I approach, what's gonna happen, because they don't have any advisor. Okay, how they will be guiding them, mentoring them. So we actually faced them. I personally faced them, because when we started, we didn't have any kind of knowledge about this the entire ecosystem of fundraising. But now, as we know, as we're growing, but all the things that we learned mostly from our ecosystem partner. Like, this is our third masterclass. In the second masterclass, we also had a couple of people who belongs to the venture capitalist community. So even they gave us the very good understanding about the pitch deck, about what you should add up, what kind of legal framework that you should prepare before you raise the funds. I think these are some of the very technical terms, some of the very new terms for the students. So they get very easily scared.
Yeah, I understand. It's every industry is not easy to understand.
Exactly.
The ones they are expert will understand. Like, maybe I don't know much about the digital Gurukul industry, what exactly, and maybe I'm missing out when I'm doing my posts. I will take your guidance on that also.
Definitely, anytime.
I do a lot of posting. Initially I didn't know hashtag. Okay. Now I know hashtag. Now I learned in Instagram. I'm learning now, but it's confusing. Instagram is, I think, more for really young people.
Yeah, you can say that. Instagram is kind of teenagers, young people. We have become a bit old now. So we are more suitable to the Twitter and LinkedIn platforms.
Maybe, but I'm learning to be trendy. I think one needs to be trendy.
Yeah. So where are you from, Vandana, basically, where you stay?
I was in Singapore and Jakarta for 15 years in investment banking. I had my own family office fund, and this is my 7th year back in India. I did some investments, then I went back to advisory. Currently, I run my own firm out of Gurgaon. We are a 10-member team, and we are connected with 300 investors globally, and I've given 150 talks. This is 151. And after 15 days, I am coming on the top 10 women leaders in wealth management 2021. I'm getting one of the between 10. So that will be published soon.
That's huge. That's a tremendous achievement. And it's amazing. Like, we haven't seen women entrepreneurs coming at this level and achieving such a huge success. And when we see a women entrepreneurs, we typically see the Mazumdars and kind of couple of women that we admire. But I think kind of your achievement, kind of the number of talks that you're given, and kind of the work that you're doing into the investment community, it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, it's not easy, but once you achieve it, you find it that it was not that difficult. But it's not easy, because typically in India, it's very male dominated. They feel threatened with women's success.
Yes.
So that's one issue. Then, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's like easy path, but it's once you achieve it, then that's it. Then you feel like, अरे बस इतना ही तो करना था. Like it's like that. But it takes a lot of patience, perseverance, consistency, lot of efforts, energy, time, lots of things we have to add into it. Lots of, to keep your mind centered always. That's the thing. Not lose calm. That's the main thing. That's the thing. I read this. I always recommend the audience also in all my talks to read Power of the Subconscious Mind. And not only that, we read. I give them a lot of, like do things in a positive manner. Like focus on positive things. I think once you protect your mental energy and you focus on only on the positives, I think there's enough room to grow.
I mean, it's very true. Considering, see, these are very specific skill set that you master after the years of experience. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's very easy to say you need a patience, you need perseverance, you can achieve the success if you follow the simple rule. And people say, I have read that somewhere on LinkedIn, I read that somewhere on Twitter. It's very easy. I have heard that, but hearing and implementing that in real life, it takes a lots of courage and hard work. That
Yeah.
you
And it's so I'll tell you, there are many women who have backing. So I can proudly say I have no backing, but I've done it on my own. So
it's very hard to do that.
so no backing at all. So sometimes you can achieve without backing also. Maybe so it took me very long to reach here, but maybe if I had the backing, I would have reached faster. But then I have no regressions. And also, what happens is these startups, they don't know their skills. I mean, youngsters and the students and entrepreneurs in corporates also, when we are at high positions, nobody tells us what are your skills. When you don't know what are your skills, then naturally you go and do something else which is not meant for you. So I think each and every one of us should take this responsibility to point out a skill to somebody. Look, you have this skill, go ahead with this. So, if somebody points that out to you, you feel like, and you start focusing on that you actually have that skill, and it just, you see that the success flows. So I think we don't communicate, and even when we are in offices, that, look, this is your skill. I think you should, if you do this, because somebody would be in marketing, somebody would be in, operations, somebody would be in finance. So if they don't know these skills, then they just land up in the wrong places. I think that's what we lack in India also. Many of us have the skills and talent, but we can't recognize it ourselves, and nobody helps us to recognize. I mean, how many people who work in corporates, actually they have friends who go and tell them, look, you have this skill. Do this, don't do that.
Yeah, and specifically the country like India, where decision, most of the time that we are seeing, decision making is not of your own. It is it's taken by your parents. After marriage, it's taken by your partner. So most of the time, even you want to achieve something, you want to go somewhere, you know your skill set, but kind of your parents tell you, no, you're made up for this thing. Your partner tell you, no, you do this for a couple of years. And then after, you achieve the age of 40, 35, you can do something on your own depending on your skill set. And when you reach that age, I think time is already passed. And
in India, people are strongly mothered, and they cannot make their own decisions. That I've noticed. So I think they should be able to make their own decisions and stand for it. At the end of the day, it's about you. It's not about the other is. Like, it's about how you, how you are going to take it. So I think that's very important point you raised, that decision making should be your own. And, it shouldn't depend on anybody. Neither your brother, mother, father, anybody, sister, partner. It goes for both men and women both. I've seen men who are dependent on their wives for decision. I have seen ladies who are dependent on this thing. So I think it's important that we take this also into consideration, that what do we want at the end of the day, and how we bring up the kids. So it's all starts from upbringing. There's always, I've seen in India, blue for boys, pink for girls, soccer for boys, cooking for girls. When you stop all this, delegating things and telling them, look, you need to do this, you are for that, then I think that you treat everybody like a human. Like, my daughter plays soccer. I never stop her. My son does something else. So, I don't need to be there for their board exams. Like, I know that they can manage. So sometimes I don't know which exam is happening when. So it's I've seen many women, they want to give up things because, board exam is happening, or this is happening. But if you don't leave them on their own, and even if they make mistakes, it's okay, because then only they learn. And I think failure is stepping stone to greatness. So, when they get their own feel of it, then only they'll realize, oh, this is what I do. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I think
in India, I think we have seen there is too much centralization. Even if you talk about in the family, okay,
yeah.
So they want the centralization of any decisions that you want to do, any power.
Yeah.
There is no delegation, because people are very scared. Yeah, if I give this thing, what's gonna happen to my family member? And they want to have that centralization. That is very different if you go into the Western countries. There is so much decentralization which has happened in terms of the decision making of any kind since the childhood, and that impacts and majority of decisions.
Even eating and drinking, I've seen Indian mothers forcing kids to have milk and all. Just leave it, yeah. And they are vomiting at the bus stop and all that. Why you want to force the child? You have to eat this, you have to drink that. I think, you should respect the child and ask, look, what do you want to eat today? So I think that way they learn to pick things on their own. So that decision also, for eating, drinking, everybody's forced. So I think that doesn't work.
Exactly. I think since mentioned about decision making and connecting with our today's masterclass topic, I'll tell you an interesting incident. We had a couple of students, and since digital give you that kind of launch pad where they launch anything. Okay. So what happened? One of our students, they wanted to launch a startup. Okay, wanted to launch a startup, and eventually parents denied it, saying that this is not the age to start. Once you complete your graduation, once you complete your PhD, and then will give you the decision making authority. Until the time you are able to make a decision, you are basically it's a structure where you get immediately married and then you have a kid. So this kind of social strings, and we have developed since ages, and people get stuck to it. People don't know what to do, because and it takes a lots of courage. If you talk about metro cities, fine, you can take it, but if you go to the tier 1, tier 2 cities, it's very, very difficult to come out of that ecosystem that is developed by family, and then you make your own life, make your own independent decision. It's very difficult.
Because you're conditioned from childhood, right?
Exactly.
Conditioned to do things like it has to be done this way. You don't give them the freedom. It has to be unconditional. Let them explore. Even I remember when my kids were really small, they used to go to school in Montessori, where they used to teach them that they need to pick up the glass of water, the glass one. And in India, how we say, don't pick it up, it will break. don't do this, don't walk with it, So I think they were taught that, because if they break it also, they know that, oh, it's like that, So I think, those things in India, how we do, right? You remember, like, don't touch the scissors, don't do this, everything, don't, the child cannot explore anything.
Exactly, and that also happens with the startup. Most of the time, parents and even the aspiring entrepreneurs, they have tremendous idea, they have a tremendous potential, but what they think, if that gonna fail, what society gonna think about me, what society
Yeah,
gonna think about my startup,
yeah,
what this person gonna think about me, I would be
yeah.
considered as a failure. So that's the syndrome, the failure syndrome basically stuck into the mind, and that impacts every single day, every single day.
That is for anything and everything. We always think what the other person is thinking, then how we are feeling. Like, how will this one react? What the society will think, what the neighbors will think, what my friends will say about me. All that goes into us. And then, we become so imbalanced that we don't recognize our own qualities. And then we just fall into that trap of things. So I think that. Once we focus on ourselves, what is our qualities, our talent, and protect our mental energy from all these things. I mean, that doesn't mean that we go out and do something berserk. I'm not saying that, but protect your energy and do something productive and stick to your goals. Like, I'll tell you that I'm a woman entrepreneur, and when I came back to India, I got comments like, "Oh, she might not be business savvy. Oh, she might be this, she might be that." So I didn't focus on all that. I just achieved in silence, and when you achieve in silence, you've automatically given back. So I mean, you don't need to give back to them at that instant. So that's what I'm saying. Like, focus on yourself, what you feel, because then if you are peaceful from inside, you'll throw positivity and everything outside you as well. But if inside you are so disturbed, everything around you will be a commotion. So I think that's what it is. That how many people do we have? 23 now?
Yeah, I think you more people are joining in some time. I think
20.
it was an amazing discussion that we had, and I think if there was no masterclass session, I think we would have continued for hours.
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll come back to the topic of the masterclass. So let me just give a quick introduction. First of all, welcome to a DZ Masterclass 3.0, where we invite Asia's leading digital entrepreneur for a power pack online interaction. And today we have with us none other than Vandana Tulani. She is the startup entrepreneur, very successful startup entrepreneur. Just give you a quick insight. I think most of the people know about Vandana, what she's doing. I think we have already circulated on social media. Just to give you a quick recap, today's topic is about art and science of pitch deck making and fundraising. About the speaker, Vandana has around 15 years of experience both in international and Indian businesses and advisory field. Okay, she has a large network of business relationship and a member of number of networking houses. If you can visit her LinkedIn profile, you'll get to know. She also has a network of around 300 plus investors, angels recognized globally, and she would be sharing her knowledge and wisdom about if you are a student, if you have want to launch a startup, how to make a pitch deck, and all the misconception, and how you can actually raise the fund in very simple way. I think she's gonna brief. So without any further delay, Vandana, over to you, and you can go into the session.
All right. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. So, first of all, I want to thank all of you to come on a Monday morning for this session, and that you have taken out your precious time for this session. So, very very grateful to all of you. So, basically, I would just start with who I am. I was in Singapore and Jakarta for 15 years. I had my own family office fund there, and this is my seventh year back in India. I did some investments, then I went back to advisory. So currently, I'm connected with 300 investors globally, and I do pick up global deals. I've given 151 talks, and recently I was nominated for the top 10 women leaders in wealth management in 2021. In 2020, I have closed 4 deals by just sitting at home. and in fintech, agri-tech, edu-tech, health tech, and food tech. In this year also, just by sitting at home, I've done a lot of work because we chose to go digital over going for one-to-one meetings. So I would just start with, I have a presentation to show you as to what goes into a pitch deck. What is a pitch deck? So let's start with what is the pitch deck. The pitch deck is a very, very important document that you must have it in order before you reach out to investors. Now, you know, when you have a startup, it is very important. There are certain basics that are in order before you reach out to the investors, because an investor doesn't spend more than 90 seconds on a deck. Nobody has the time to go through heavy decks. So how can we make it interactive when we are having the investor session, so that you know, our pitch deck gets taken away by the investor? So basically, what are you doing? You're selling your company to the investor. To sell your company, you have the pitch deck to you know, sell it to the investor. So the way you present it, you know, the way you know, align your pitch deck will help you get the investments. So without further delay, I would just share a presentation and slowly go about it, so that you guys understand, and post that we could you know, take questions. So is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
so let's start. My introduction is already given, so I will just skip this slide and this slide. We'll start with the first slide, that what investors expect to see in your pitch deck. Now, these are the things, 7 things that the investor expects to see in your pitch deck. Let's start with the first one. What's your company's purpose, your mission, and you know, vision? And keep this slide short and punchy. What do I mean by this is that, you know, naturally that you have created a startup which is trying to solve a problem, and hence you know, there's a mission behind the startup, and there's a vision behind why the founder has created that startup. This slide needs to be short and punchy. Like, it has to be, you know, like have a tagline for it, like, you know, how are you going to start by you know, like, it should be a very, very catchy line. Then team, introduce your key personnel and their track records. Now, the team has to be a complementary team. There has to be a marketing team, an operations team, a finance team, a CTO in your team, which complements each other. And with, you know, it is better to get experienced people in your team. So introduce the team, because investors invest on 3 things: background of the founder, the technology, and also they look at the revenue. But if you qualify first 2, I think you are ready to get investment. So make sure your team is in order. Problem, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? You know, like you know, what is it that you're trying to create that is disruptive, that will help the community? Then goes the solution, how your product or business solves the problem. Like, you know, okay, there is a problem. Now, how are you going to solve it, and what is the solution you are giving to it? Then we go to the opportunity. You know, so why the iron is hot and investors should strike now. Now, what is the opportunity that here you are giving to the investors? What opportunity you are giving to the investors that they should invest their hard-earned money into your startup? So that you have to explain it. Then what is your target market and distribution, and your define your target consumers. Many startups don't know what is their target market. They don't know what is their distribution. They don't know that even they are targeting the wrong audience. They're targeting the wrong customers. So, you know, say for instance, if it's a baby product, a baby product needs to be marketed to mothers, to newborn, where mothers have just become newly mothers, to those people. It should not be targeted to old people, right? So that's the kind, many people don't know their who is their market, who is in the whom they should target. So they are targeting only the wrong audience. So I think that you need to fix, and you need to make sure that your target market and distribution is correct. Then comes your total addressable market. Okay, now how you have calculated that market, who is in that total addressable market? Whether you are focusing on a city or a country, or on a globe. So you have to say all these things, because if you don't, then the investor will get confused as to what you want. Basically you have to explain each and everything to the investor in a layman's language, as if he doesn't know anything, and you have to explain him, and you're pitching and selling your company to him. So I think this first slide defines that. Then let's go to the next slide. So here we have product. So product key features and all important demos. Many people don't have product videos. I highly recommend everybody to have a product video, because sometimes visuals explain better than text and numbers. So have a product video as to what is your product, what are the key features of the product, how does it differentiate from the other products that are in the market, what is your business model, like how you are going to make people give up their hard-earned money. So an investor is investing their hard-earned money into your startup, so that they can also multiply. When you are able to multiply that, they are able to get their returns and make an exit and make more earnings. So how are you going to make them give up? It's like many of you, I'm not sure if we have parents here, if you give 1000 rupees pocket money to your children, after some time you're going to ask them, look, what did you do with it? It's just that you want to check on them, that did they burn it with something, or they did something productive with it. So I think that's what you need to explain. We have had two cases where a founder got investments, and he bought a car with those investments. And in another case, one person treated cancer. Now, this is a business. Investors putting money, taking equity in your firm, it's a business association. It cannot be mixed with personal things. So the money given to you is not for burning. So make sure that you don't put anything in your pitch deck which showing that it's burning. Then the competition. It's important to show a perceptual map on how you are positioned compared to your rivals. Many startups don't know who are their competitors. And then when the investor asks, look, this company is already doing this, how are you different from that? They are unable to answer. So I think, it's very, very important that you show who is your competition. Then let's go to point 11 here. It says that what are the different types of investments. Now, let's go to the first one, seed and above. So what progresses you have already made? Is there, do you need a seed investments? Do you have some traction already? What is it that you're looking for? You have to always, be specific about your ask. Because if you're not specific about your ask, the investor doesn't know what you want. Then comes pre-seed, which is a 5-year plan. So if you're taking a pre-seed round, then you have to include a 5-year plan as to what are your plans, strategic plans for your startup. What is your, I'm not saying that, those plans will work out or not, but naturally you need to have something planned for the startup, because it's a business that you are growing. Like, say for instance, let's take, supposing it's digital marketing that you're doing. Now, in 5 years, you must have a goal that where you are reaching in those next 5 years, that how many students you've already taught digital marketing, how many companies you've already finished the work, what is it the advanced technologies that you would be using, because there's lots of social media handles now, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, so many. how many places you're going to post, what is it, that how you're going to post up. So all that you need to have in mind. Then it's very, very important to have your fund usage in order. Okay, now if your fund usage is not in order and you're not asking, many people miss this slide, how much you're raising, what will be the usage of the funds, what will be the money spent on, then actually the investor won't understand what you're trying to do. And you have to also give the investor the exit strategy, that identify companies that may be interested in acquiring you in the future. So in my last slide, I will explain you what is exit. So there's a whole slide for that will come in the end. Let's go to the next slide. Now, structuring your pitch deck. Okay, so now when you structure your pitch deck, it needs to grab the audience's attention. It's not always easy, but you've got to find a way to establish attention and excitement. Tell the story of an existing customer and the problem you solve. This sets the tone for all future points. Now, I have a company, I can't name it, it's a fintech company. Whenever they do investor calls, the investor gets more inquisitive and asks them so many questions that they like it gets it's reverse. uh, it has to be like that you have to make the investor inquisitive in your startup. What happens is that most of the time you are speaking, it becomes boring, there's no interaction here, and the investors will just after some time will cut you short for that. So how you're going to gather the investors attention, that's very, very important. I have judged online pitches wherein I have seen that the startup is unable to gather the attention of the investor and the audiences. So because they are not presenting themselves in the right manner. So I think make sure that this point is there, and describe the problem and solution. What problem does your company solve? Pitching PowerPoint presentations are all about showing that you have found a problem and that needs help, and make sure that your startup is solving that. Like last year when COVID had hit us, we had all those apps that used to, those gadgets that used to measure the temperature, especially when you go inside the hotels, we have to scan ourselves. So that was something disruptive that was created, and many IITians had created that, and they had got funded as well. So what is it that is disruptive? Like this year we had oxygen problem, we had so many other issues, medicine problems. What is it that, did we create a pharmacy app? How did we help the old people? Like there's a company that has made an app and a solution for helping old people when they are in need of emergency help. So something disruptive. Explain the market. How widespread is the problem you seek to solve? Investors need to understand your total addressable market or the potential number of customers you might seek to serve. And you always should make an ask, whether that's funding or a recruiting pitch for new teammates. Most pitch presentations result in asking for support you need to grow. So I think that's very important. And then this slide talks about tips for making a winning pitch deck. Now, outsource the design. What happens is that, there are professionals that make really, really good pitch decks. They know the market standards. So if you think that, you can't do it on your own, you can outsource the design work. Use a business pitch template to, skip far ahead in the design process. Use infographics to illustrate key processes. An infographic is a visual that helps you, show off processes or key data. It breaks from traditional charts like line graphs, bar charts, with more custom visuals that explains the concept. So make it more numeric and make it more infographics than more texty. Add a SWOT slide for a visual strategies. One of the most successful visuals for a pitch deck is a SWOT slide. This helps, this type of analysis includes highlighting your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So I think this will help you make a winning pitch. And then let's go to the do's and don'ts. Now, let's first do the do's. Okay, keep it clear, concise. Your pitch deck should effectively communicate the idea to the investors. Having a storyline is the key. Make it interesting from the get-go. The first 4 slides are important. They should be made in such a way that it captures the investor's interest and attention towards the business, or else they will lose interest in the deck. And formatting is important. Make sure to use uniform professional fonts and font sizes. Your slides should look neat and pleasing to the eye. I have seen pitch decks with spelling mistakes. I've seen pitch decks with grammar mistakes. I think all that, you need to fix it, because investors do pay attention on these things, and talk about numbers, because it's all about the business. And investors understands numbers. They want to see what is the numbers in your pitch deck. And then let's go to the don'ts. Don't forget important slides. Investors will keep an eye out for slides like team, market size, traction. Make sure you include them in your pitch deck, and they are one of the first 4 ones. Don't make it too texty. Investors are less likely to reach large amount of text altogether. So make sure to keep your points short. Then don't give away all the information in the deck. Get the curiosity rise. It's important to create what next thing in the mind of the investor so that they contact you. So I think these are some of the, do's and don'ts that you need to keep in mind. And okay, sorry. Yeah. Now this is an example of if you could see, this example is of a business model. This is a 1-page business model, and I've just picked up one of the stuff. See how neatly it is done, and how this is example I'm showing is, see the graphics, see the numbers, how well it is presented. So for any investor and any finance person, they will quickly understand. So make sure you have this kind of a slide. Then see how they have explained the fund usage in order. See the format. It's a very neat format because it explains everything neatly. So your fund usage slide should be like this. Technology, these many percentage. Marketing, this much. Operations, this much. And it will help the investor to understand that why is he putting money in your company. Then key metrics. So this is one of the example of a key metrics that I have jotted here. It's to show you that, if you have a 1-pager unit metrics always ready, or have it in your pitch deck, somewhere in the beginning, which explains all the numbers, immediately the investor will understand whether he should put money or no, what is it the value is coming on the table, what is it that is happening. And this is a slightly old one. It's a 2019 one, but there are better new ones also. But because this I had made it earlier, so I put this one, but I'm just giving you as an example. And then comes the exit options. Okay. Now, what is the exit options that you can give to the investor? The first option is to give exit to the investor is through an IPO in approximately 5 years. Getting the company's shares listed on a stock exchange so that with liquidity coming through trading of shares, the investor can sell his shares anytime, partially or fully. This is one of the exit options you can give. Then the second is, if IPO is not possible, then the company should appoint an independent valuer of the shares and find a third-party investor who will buy the shares from the original investor. Then the new investor should buy shares at a price which will give the required IRR, which is internal rate of return, to the original investor. the IRR asked is usually 20 to 25%. If second option is not possible, then the company should buy back the shares from the original investor by giving him the required IRR. If third option is not possible, then the founder should buy back the equity from original founder by giving him the required RRR. If all the above doesn't happen, then the company should look for a strategic partner who buys a big stake in the business as a strategic investor and not as a financial investor, hence gives exit to the original investor. And then that's about it. So I think, did I cover up all the slides? Just want to check. I think I've missed this one. Sorry about that. Now, tips for presenting your pitch deck. Now, business plan, unit metrics. Since the investors only look at numbers, it is better to present the unit metrics, the business plan first, as only the numbers are of concern. And this should include revenues, exit strategies, the type of investment that you're looking for, equity, debt, or CCD. What happens is founders sometimes they don't know, what is it they want, equity, debt, or CCD. And when the investor asks them that, look, what is it that you want? They say, we don't know. So in the beginning only, you should know whether you're looking for a convertible, you're looking for equity, what are you looking for? And nowadays, the trending thing in the market is to make a video pitch deck. A video pitch deck, it always attracts the investors. And because they don't spend more than 90 seconds on looking at a deck, keeping that in mind, a video presentation, shows the entire thing in a small video. So many investors ask for it, and it's good to have that. So if your deck is too long, like 20 slides long and all, they'll just have a look at your video presentation. Language should explain every aspect of your presentation in layman terms. This will ensure that they understand your business to the fullest. One investor had complained to me that the startup had used too many technological terms, which the technology team of the investor didn't understand. So make sure it's in a layman's language. Just simple works. It doesn't have to be complex. And keep it brief, to the point, and interesting. And make sure your explanation flows smooth like a story and does not take too much time to understand. And don't linger on one slide for very long. Otherwise everybody loses focus. And give explanation ahead of time to the investors. Explain everything, give them clarity to avoid confusion. So I think I've covered up everything now. We've not left with anything. You could kindly ask me any questions you have related to this.
I think it was a great presentation, and I think the minute of technical details that you shared, it is not even possible for a normal person or a normal entrepreneurs to at least go on to the Google and get all these details, because these are, I think for most of the students it might be a new thing, but if you are aspiring entrepreneurs, this is a gold mine that Vandana has shared, because this is what that all the entrepreneurs should know: the do's and don'ts, the all the aspects of the pitch deck, the fundraising, everything that she has covered, I think, in a very amazing and very simple ways possible. So I think it's great. It was a great presentation. Now I would request all the participants, if you have any specific question, you can put it into the chat window. In case you want to launch a startup, if you have any kind of questions, you can feel free to write here. Okay, so I think Manav has a question
Yeah.
that how can we choose the right investor for our startup from the pool of investors? Because I think as a startup entrepreneurs, even there are pool of investors. Okay, there are different categories of the investor that are investing into different field. So how, as an entrepreneur, what can be the criteria of choosing the right investor? Vandana.
See, what happens is that many of you when you reach out to an investor, firstly, don't do cold calling. Everything works on based on relationships. Reach out to the right kind of investment bankers who have relationships with these funds, and they can help you to reach the right kind of investor. In any given case and scenario where you're reaching out on your own, make sure that you have seen the website of the investor. Many people, what they do is that it's a food startup, they are reaching to a technology investor. It's a tech startup, they are reaching to a food investor. Investors don't have time and they don't want to waste, we should not waste their time. So make sure you've read the website thoroughly, you know their thesis, you understand before pitching anything. Don't ever do cold calling because it will never work. You have to build relationships over time with investors, and then you could pitch them. So I think that's the correct way to reach out to the investors. And at what stage are you reaching out? Some people just that simple idea, not being vetted by a mentor, not shown it to an advisor, not having anything, just want to reach to an investor. Like I had a few youngsters who had called me and saying, हमने cricket app बनाया है, and हम ये करेंगे वो करेंगे. Then I said, whose money are you putting in? Our mother's father. So the mother father were working in a bank and the father was a CA, so they wanted to burn that into the startup in a cricket app, which wouldn't have worked. So don't these things, one needs to be careful. Like I mean, it's good to have an idea, everything, but you should also understand whether the ideas will work or not. If it's not going to work, then be humble, be grounded, and learn to pivot things way ahead of time, and that might help you a lot. So some people don't want to pivot, they are very fixed on something and they want to continue with that, even understanding that it's not working. So get your idea vetted by a mentor. Always have an advisor and CFO in your team. Have a proper complementary team in your startup, a proper technology person, a marketing and operations, a finance person, that complement each other and have the expertise for it. And if you have the money and you don't know how to manage the money, ask your CFO, how are you going to manage it? Take advice, just don't burn it. That's the whole thing, because burning is very easy, right? Earning is difficult. So that's the thing. So hope I answered it.
Yes, I hope.
Sir, I want to ask a question.
Yes, go ahead, Mohit.
First of all, thank you, ma'am, for sharing such valuable knowledge with us. So my question to is, like, ma'am, as you mentioned that in our pitch deck, we should mention about our team, our finance team, marketing team. But if we are thinking about a startup and we have a team of only two, so how we can attract their interest towards our startup?
See, the thing is that you need to, what is the team of two that you are? So is it a family member? Is it somebody who's complementing you? Do you have the right kind of skill sets, both of you? There has to be three co-founders in a startup. It's always, investors prefer that. Well, because there are reasons behind it. Now, I always tell everybody to have somebody professional, like have somebody who has several years of experience. There are many people who drop out their corporate jobs and they get into startups, and but they have that experience. So get somebody whose experience will help you out. If you have somebody brand new and who doesn't know anything, you are also struggling, they are also struggling, then the struggle period for you increases. So I think that you need to keep in mind.
Thank you.
I hope, Mohit, you got your answer. We have the next question from Dr. Saurabh Kumar. So he wants to quickly understand the do's and don'ts slide, what investor should do, should not, as a startup entrepreneur, what they should do, what they should not. I think just that particular slide in a very short.
Yeah, I could show it to you again.
Sure.
It's right here only. So do's and don'ts. So Saurabh actually comes on all my talks. So again, he's asking the same thing. So we need to keep it clear and concise. Your pitch deck should effectively communicate the idea to the investors. Having a storyline is the key. What's your story? Make it interesting. The first flow slides are important. They should be made in such a way which captures the investor's interest and attention towards the business, or else they will lose interest in the deck. So this is specifically when you are going for competitions where judges are sitting, where you are presenting yourself, how you're going to present effectively. One to one is different, but at times you are presenting in front of many people. Formatting is important. That makes sure to use uniform professional fonts and font sizes. Your slides should look neat and pleasing to the eye. And don't put those fancy fonts like those curvy ones and all. Doesn't make sense. And make sure the spellings are correct. Then you know don't forget to put important slides. Like investors will keep an eye out for the slides like team. Like I mentioned, that if your team is strong, uh, uh, then of course, then already you have covered up one point to get investments. What is your market size? What is the traction? That do you have the drive to get the traction? Make sure that you all include them in the pitch deck. Then don't make it too texty. Investors do not like too much text. It has to be more numeric. uh, Make it more digitized, with all numerics, graphs, pointers, to show and explain everything in short, and don't give away all the information. So make sure that there is a what next to it. uh, like say for instance, when we go to buy a dairy milk chocolate, and we open the wrapper, then we eat it, right? So we want to understand what is inside it. Are there some nuts in it, or kishmish, or whatever? So basically there has to be a question mark. What next? What is it next for investors? How, if they put in the money, how will it multiply in so many months or years, and they will get the return? So I think that's important. So I'll just stop sharing the screen now. Are there any more questions?
Yes, I think we'll take up one or two questions now. The next question is from the name Galaxy. So he wants to ask, what is the process of getting a funding from the government? I think that is the question.
See, we are investment bankers. We are connected to all private funds. We are not connected to the government funds yet. There is a Startup India Fund which the government has created, but it's not run in the proper manner. It's a tedious process to go through it. Of course, there are many different platforms where you can reach out to online, fill up the form, and apply for that. I don't work with government funds. I more work with the VCs, PEs, angels, and HNI. So I have more information about that.
Great. The next question is by Shilpa. So she has a very interesting question. So she wants to ask, like every startup has an application, right? So is getting a funding, it is necessary to be an app only startup where if there is no application, you're not gonna get the funding. Is that the notion which is there? What's your take?
No. I mean, see, basically, look at it this way. What is it that is hot in the market nowadays? Agri-tech, fin-tech, edu-tech, uh, health tech, food tech. Now, anything which is tech, naturally that gets investments way before time. So if you have an app, and basically, if you get a better interest from investors. But if you don't have an app and you need the money to build the app, but you have the clientage, you have the traction, you have the drive, you have a product that is already launched, you have a technology in place, so I think then also you get investments. So it all depends from startup to startup. I'm not sure what kind of startup you have. I can just give you example of one company, which is this company already had a 500 crore turnover, and they had two sister companies. The founder's background was really, really strong, and they had uh, opened a cloud connect platform, wherein the product was not launched. The technology was not there, and he had put his self fund in it. So also he got funded from the investors. Why? Because he had already two successful startups, and his background was strong. So I think all this also makes a lot of difference, that how successful your startup is. Not necessarily every startup will have an app, not necessarily that every startup will have be related to the app. It could be something different that you have created. So again, it depends on what is it there. Is it a health tech, is it a pharmacy app, what is it? I'll have to understand maybe offline deeper into your startup to give you more insights.
Great, great. We'll take up the last question. It's from Kaustubh. So I would just like to reframe it. Compared to the product startup, it is very difficult for a service sector startup to get a funding, especially those who are learning digital. Most of the time, they offer a services, right? Like digital marketing services, different services. So compared to a product-based startup, it is very difficult to get a funding for a service sector startup. What's your take?
Yeah, services startup don't get funded, so it's difficult. But there are some services startup that have shown a lot of traction in within years. They have got funded. They have a point to prove. Look, I have this much traction. I have built this technology. I can do this better than others. So most of the time, services startup don't get products, anything tech related, any e-commerce, all these AI, robotics, IoT, they get funded very fast. So
Great.
even in fashion, they ask, well, what is the technology here? Look at it. No, now when I'll tell you a simple example. When in India, when Paytm came in, okay, now say when demonetization came in, nobody, everybody got the shock of the life. People didn't know how to use Paytm at that time. Many people actually at that point learned how to use Paytm. They were pushed to use it. So when they started becoming progressive, they changed them everything around it. They got so used to it that now even the vegetable vendor, milkman, everybody uses Paytm. Similarly, when COVID had hit us, everybody was skeptical to use Zoom. Already some people were aware of Zoom. They were already having meetings there, but people didn't want to use Zoom. Only when they were forced to use Zoom, they realized that how productive it can be. Wherein you are going field to meet 5 people in a day, and here you can just sit on one table and have 10 meetings in a day and finish your work just by using Zoom. So that was what happened, that people were pushed to use things. So naturally, if you become progressive, proactive, and you have to keep learning new stuff, and you're like, there is now StreamYard, AirMeet, there are all other platforms which many people don't know. Many school teachers didn't know how to use Zoom. They were struggling. They didn't have the proper gadgets for it also. So that was quite painful to see. Only when they learned it, they found it so effective that now they feel like, okay, life is so easy. So I think that we need to switch and all the time. And of course, services sector don't get funded unless you have shown a lot of traction, lot of work in it, products, techs, all these disruptive ideas that come around COVID, that gets funded very, very easily. So make sure that you are working on one of the disruptive ideas.
Great. So working on the disruptive ideas and getting a traction is a simple and very simple but yet very long way to be there into the startup market and get attraction from the investor as well. I think we don't have any more question. I think we have a last question. So this is the last question we're gonna take before we wind up the session. So since I think and some of this question, so like you mentioned about the fintech company, it's very difficult to stand out in the market, and it's very difficult to trust the fintech company. I think most of the time we have seen there are a couple of fintech startup which offer the loan which starting from the range of 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, and people get easily convinced with the idea. So like obviously this question is very important since you mentioned about the fintech. How the trust factor plays a very important role in success of the fintech.
See, I have closed 3 fintech deals last year, and 2 I'm closing this month. Uh, if your technology is good, if you're having enough traction, if you have reached the right kind of investment banker, if you have reached the right kind of investor, you have the relationships with these people, then it's very easy to get funded. And you know, to stand out, you have to make them believe that you are different, that you have earned that much, you have the traction, you have the right technology, you have the right kind of team. And I think when you make people believe that, I think everybody starts chasing you automatically. I have a fintech company where it's reverse, investors are calling me for it. So and I have a medical company also where investors call me, like, could you explain us? So it's reverse. Initially I was calling investors, look, I have this deal, you want to have a look? Now it's reverse. Why? Because the company is so good, what they are doing is so good, so everybody starts thinking, how is it that they are making money from this? How is it that they have the drive for this? So it's also the founder, how much drive you have. So fintech is not only loans. There are many different fintech platforms. There are many card, like those card systems. Then there are different fintech technologies. There's a chit fund that is a startup. There's different in fintech is just financial technology. Basically, what is it that you have built around it? But of course, if it's a loan platform where you have it's failing continuously and people don't see traction, and sometimes in fintech people show a lot of uh, focus areas is too many. Insurance also, this also, that also, loans for grocery shops also. So I think that you have the right kind of focus area, like have one focus area, whether it's loan, whether it's insurance, what is it? Don't have too many focus areas. The investors don't like if you have too many focus areas. I'm doing this also, I'm doing that also, I'm doing that also. Unless like the other company that I mentioned that already had 2 successful startups. So one was an Ayurvedic brand, the other was a beer brand, and third was a Cloud Connect. So these were successful. Hence, founder had also put his own money. Hence, he got funded. So that's the thing. There's a lot of difference. I mean, with each, what is it that you have built? You have to show me a business plan. Then I'll be able to guide you as to what is it that you have done.
One last question that would be from my side. Since there is a tremendous boom into the crypto industry since last many months that you have seen, what do you think would be the impact of the crypto onto the Indian fintech space? Would you see the emergence of the fintech adopting the crypto? Would that be a boom or would that be just a short-term thing? What's your take?
Crypto is not acceptable by the government in India. There are regulations that don't let it enter. So unless that regulation is passed, crypto cannot work in India. So if the regulation is passed, then it's working well in Singapore, it's working well in Dubai. Crypto is working well in other countries, but not in India, because uh, what's going to happen is that everybody's data would be out there. So everybody is scared, how our Indian politicians, everything, there's so many scams around almost everything. COVID becomes a scam. Vaccination becomes a scam. Medicines become a scam. Oxygen becomes a scam. what are not the scams? Anything, anybody, any Bollywood star dies, it becomes a scam. So everything is a scam. So nobody wants to get exposed. So crypto cannot come in. It will cause a lot of exposure to many people. So
Oh, great. I think that was a very interesting perspective. I think we don't have any questions as you have covered each and every aspect of the fundraising pitch deck in the most simplest and most amazing manner. And I think the audience loved it as well. I'll just request the audience, if you like the session, just take a screenshot and you can share a feedback and you can tag Vandana on the different social media platform. You can also share the feedback. Did you like the session? How was the session? And what you exactly learned. Okay, so that will help because Vandana has taken the time out of her extremely busy schedule. She has given the time to the entire Digital Gurukul family, and she has shared every details which I think you could not even get it easily. That is my personal experience that I'm sharing with you. So I think you're very lucky to get the exposure of the entire fundraising ecosystem. So from entire DG family, I'll for once again thank you for taking the time, sharing the word of wisdom and the knowledge with all the students. And thanks a lot for the amazing session that you conducted. And I hope you all the students have taken the screenshot. Kindly share your feedback on social media platform, and we'll surely get connected with you. And the night will not be a 1 hour engagement. Will definitely be connected for a long journey. And with that note, I think we'll end up the session. Thank you so much, Vandana, again for the amazing session. Thank you all the students for taking out the time, especially on Monday, especially in the Monday morning. And I hope you learned a very good, interesting thing from the ma'am and for the startup funding and the pitch deck. Next time, next speaker, and amazing learning as well. With that note, thank you so much, all. Enjoy, take care, bye. Thank you.
bye all of you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.